anyone can at least discuss this thing. I know you couldn't do it, but maybe you had a chance to look into it.
The benefit of this code.
The benefit of this so far, yeah. So that's pretty much what we were doing. We grab the value. Of course, if anyone submit, what benefit do you get? Do you think if I automate the process using the post super global order form?
Less code. Let's see.
Less. That's one thing for sure. Spot on. Let's code. I'm gonna change few things here. I'm just going to change this. If you have this, just change them to value, because by the time I was showing you, I wanted to show you that's why. But because you split them, I can also use the value, the word value, key and value. So for the key, I'm checking email. If it is email field, sorry, if it is not email field, my apologies. We want to check each of the value if they're empty, because we split them now, key value. So we don't have to write long way post. Where did I change it? Look, I changed it here. This is also means value, remember.
So why would you change it then?
Because I have a value, much easier word to
write.
But remember,
doesn't matter, yeah?
Doesn't matter.
We do it.
And I think this is better to use in value, because that makes sense. I already have split it. I was showing it that time that you can also grab a value by it like this, or also by value like this. So that should give me the value that I want to use, basically.
So the benefit of this one, as I say it, is the first thing that we just check it and we have it like a one process to do it instead of 3 times. Yeah, like first name and a second name and password. So basically, it goes once and check it all. Yeah. So
that's
one is done. Yeah.
Less code. It's less code, less repeating code. And you know when you target a register form, what to expect. Usually, 99% of the register form will contain an email field. Am I correct?
Yes.
Unless they use a username system, of course, which is actually much cumbersome to validate. Because you see, email is a blessing. Internationally, you cannot have same email twice. So why do I have to worry about earlier days username system? Like I have to create one and match with millions of other exist or not, and then come back. That's really cumbersome. It guarantees that a valid email, even if it is an imaginary email, but if it is valid, it is an email. So it can be used. So of course, a form will have. You will have first some sort of name, right? Some cases username, some first name, last name, some cases even middle name. Some cases, a registration system always try to keep it simple, guys. Don't give too much things to register. Like literally very few fields. Some cases people will give only email address and password, which look like, am I registering or am I logging?
Yeah.
The form look exactly same. So just to give it extra boost to that user, you can ask for the name, so you can greet them with the name. So yeah. So first name, last name is common, email is common, password is common. These 4 fields are common, and in fact, the validation for them are also common. If it is a first name, last name, what do you want? You want them to fill the value, right? But you cannot control what they're going to write, can you?
No, of course not.
No, you can at least control if the word contain digit. That's not a property, first name, you can guess. Maybe that's highest, right? If somebody has Subroto 1, 2, 3, then Chakraborty, of course, it's not nice, is it? So that case, you can check that.
Well, to be honest, like going back to the Elon Musk, his child is called something like AX122.
Is it?
So yes. So probably that rule doesn't anymore apply.
Yeah, he's a proper geek.
Yeah. I just wonder how he calls that child, but at home.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Okay, good. So yeah, you probably can have.
Yeah, probably
so
the rule doesn't.
You beat me. Less time for thinking new. So you have this, and for the email is always gonna be 3, emptiness, Second one is the valid. Third one is where the same email exists, and we already have covered that. With the password, however, you may add some complexity in the password. Can you not? Let's say it has to be at least length 6.
Yeah, like uppercase, number,
uppercase, lowercase. I can give you a small script that will help you to do those kind of complex. But here we're not doing anything, so I just kept it simple. As you can see, how easy it is to target all these non-email fields just to check if they're empty. Instead of writing 3 times this statement, you made it 1 time. To do this, we need to know the tricks. So of course, we take the post super global, which is available to everybody as soon as you submit. All these forms are in already form has a name. Each of them has a name attribute. So you initially set up the name for all of them, as you can see. That's your first time have to set up. From here to here, you don't have to think about what is the key name you have for all of your fields. So tomorrow, if I add more field here, for example, maybe if I follow the same format, for example, a middle name, maybe address, God knows what, right? And my script should be able to pick up all non-email fields, right? And check whether they're empty. So that's what I said. If key is not email, then for those, check the value if the value is empty. If it is empty, push a new message to our error private property, which is just 2 private properties. They are form of an array. So we push them out. When you're pushing them, of course, it's going to push how many times for me? If all the fields are empty, can you guess how many are there? 3. Yeah, we'll have 3. But each of them, cleverly, will have an error key, which I will convert them by extract function to a variable. It started with a prefix called error underscore, followed by the key name, which will be, let's say, error underscore first name. So that would be auto-generated. I don't have to remember the keys. So if I add more field, fine, it will work. All I have to do make sure that I give an ID for that. I give a ID for that guy. Sorry, not ID, name. That's it. It will pick up from there. Push into the post. And post is a super global available to every file. So whether the post is available here on the sign out is also available to any other script. I have added this script, so I'm going to get rid of this because this is the old one. Don't need it maybe. Don't need it. So that makes an automated process, as you can see. This is for when there is error. Same thing happens, of course. Even the messages, I don't have to manually type. I just use the key name. So please enter first name. And then if it is true, I mean, if it is not true, it is not empty, sorry, for example, we can then say array push
to user data.
To user data, which I am going to carry on because I need that data now. I want to carry on that to the next level, which is the database. Am I correct? So that's absolutely fine. But do you remember we used a function to sanitize our form? Do you remember this function? Anyone?
I remember that
it's in the config file. So to prevent from a SQL attack, it's not only emptiness validation you check, you must clean the code. I think when we were discussing, this is usually in the config file. I use this for all the forms. It does a number of things. It streams. Say for example, it has a number of functions. So if I write, do you not remember any of?
Oh yeah, there was like if you write a different.
Different thing. Let's say I have 2 spaces here.
I have 2
exactly. This is okay this is going to be stored in the database if I don't trim it. Trim it on the left and the right, R and left, right trim. So then of course if I try to attack with the scripts, it's extremely vulnerable place. I can write a JavaScript. This should be converted to HTML, and if I do any other coding here, it will be converted to very basic code conversion technique. So it's not going to go through. And all these things has done here. Remove the programming tags using these, add slashes for single quotation mark, which breaks the MySQL. So different things has been done here. A trim has been applied. So it's filters. Now this function is in the config file. Can I ask you, where did you load the config file in your project? Can I say that? So I can access that function from here, this file. The function is in the config file. Right?
Header.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And there is no header on this one, guys. Then how am I still accessing it?
Through some other, through sign up or?
That's correct. That's correct. There you go. So the sign up page, which is the holding the form, is gluing together the header. Header is loading the config. At the end of the config, I have data model, which I'm using for everything. So if you look at the config, at the end of it, we are loading data model. So if you load config, you're loading data model to every of them. Usually config file, the last conversion, if you look at the frameworks, there is the config file at the end to trigger the application class. So in our cases, this is the most important class, a data model which contains different functions. And imagine this is what we want. So it's done. I would be all the function here to be able to use the con variable that I've loaded at the top. So some housekeeping work has been done here. So the con and end of config, it loads the data model. So database related things are done here, one. And then of course in the header, you load the config. Because you're loading the header to all pages, including sign up. So all these pages are loaded in a sequential manner. That's why I have to load the header first. And of course, sign up page, when the form is holding the form, when you submit the form, I want to use this class to process this. So technically, this class was loaded at the end. In the given scenario, can anyone tell me which file? There are many files working. What is the sequence of file I'm loading? Can you guess on the sign up? Even though it's not visible right here, but you know.
The header PHP and the register plus PHP.
No, all the names, the one you don't see.
Oh, the
Data model? No?
which one is sanitizing? What is that file?
Config.
Config, yeah?
Remember, config has all of these common functions. So, which one is the first in this row? I have two of them written. What are others?
I thought the config is on the end, no? Okay.
Nope.
So is the first one?
Of course, we've been doing this thing for config is the first one. What config contains? Can anyone tell me? It contains what kind of thing?
Password.
The database, yeah, the initial character database. Else, then what else? Maybe your time zones, character setup. Come on, guys, I almost killed this project 100 times. Nobody listens to this, of course. And the session starts. So this is a bootstrap file. Okay, anything that you think you're going to use in multiple pages, feel free to dump it here.
Okay.
Literally, because it's gonna be loaded, not in the header. Header only could be loading your CSS resources, your let me tell you, the search engine meta tags, and then maybe your responsive tags, stuff like this. But the config file should be used as a bootstrapping file. This is not CSS bootstrap I'm talking about. When a function boot up, like your computer, it started loading one by one files, remember? Maybe you do not see them. That's why all the computer takes a little time to boot up. You know, the fastest the boot up is good as computer is. This also depends on how much RAM you have. What is the size of your operating system that you're using. So all those things are linked. So it's going to change. It creates, as soon as it's switch on the power button, it triggers. First, it triggers by something called a BIOS in your computer, which is basically kind of things always awake. It's a piece of software embedded in a hardware. BIOS, basic input output system. Those who studied a little bit of hardware, that's what it triggers. So how the BIOS starts everything, how the BIOS remembers the date, what date, because your machine did not have the power, but that is wrong. Every PC, every computer has a small pencil, very tiny round shaped battery. You know the one you put in the watch? Is actually inside this computer, in your motherboard. That's the one time keeps your. So even if you don't have power supply for 2 years, that battery survives. Because one of the key elements for BIOS is to know the current time. If you want to flash the BIOS, remove the battery, put it back. That is a small battery. Do you know the round cycle battery? It's called pencil battery, I guess. It's a flat battery. All of your computer has it. Or some sorts of battery system that keep the BIOS ticking. Once you switch off, it triggers series of files. In first files, it loads for a computer or PC or Mac is your input-output system. How many devices loaded on your computer? For example, keyboards, mouse, external hard disks, network card. It's list them all, and it also loads the driver for them one by one. So it's in the second stage of boot up. A lot of things goes on, and then the first thing it does, once it does that, it has a list of things and it loads the operating system, hand over this chart to the operating system. So operating system now aware of them. So now it will take 20% of space from your RAM to load. So if you have less RAM, then it will be slower because your memory is less. It has a lot of swap over system. So our case, this file works with this. So anything that you ever configure that I'm going to use this. For example, this particular file I have used in 3 forms. I might be using it in subscribe form, whatnot, the order form. Because in all form, I need some sort of sanitization, cleaning the code. So because I'll be using them in multiple forms, if they are linked, I can call it no matter where it is. It will find out. And that is what exactly happens. So before the header on the sign up, what 2 orders of file can you name me?
So config first, yes?
What else you have after that? After config, what do you have? Can you guess? At the bottom of config.
Data model?
That's correct. Why we need that? Because all the database related functions, registration, get all product, all of these are there in one place. Much more organized for to find things. This comes with the model view control. We're not having a control here. The control will be this one, the register class in this case. So I have, of course, loaded. Where is my sign up? So sign up file config. After config, I have another file loaded. Inside that is called data model. Let's just write down data model, and then comes header, then comes register class. This is how you load those files. Now, of course, because the register class is loaded at them, through this file, it has access to all other. Remember which file we are running. We are running actually sign up page. Remember, we are actually, so this is like a glue to index. Glue to your header, glue to your config, glue to your data model, and then of course register class. So it's actually all these 4 scripts works as one script. Hence, all the functions that you've written in the other files, such as data model config, should be available to this class. And that's what I took advantage of. I kind of took advantage of that class. Yeah. So here I took advantage of that. So including the post global. Post, when you submit, it goes to post super global. Because it's a two-dimensional array, I can split them into key and value like this syntax. Give it a name, key value. You can give this variable whatsoever name you like. But it's a common trend that you call them key value because they points to the one points to the key, one points to the value that customer types. The first thing we are checking, we're putting a clause here saying if key is not email, that means rest of the fields, please do the following checks. Now I know that I'm putting this value in a danger. Because this is okay, this is for error. And this array is I'm preparing to send to my database. But do you see, am I filtering it? Am I using any user filter function for the value? Can anyone tell me? I'm not filtering it. That means, am I using?
But you don't use the sanitation function?
Yes, yes, yes. This is the one single sanitation. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I using this function while I was sending? No. You don't see
it's included.
It is included, but doesn't mean I have to call it.
Okay.
You see,
All
the
right.
function is there, but you haven't called it anywhere.
Okay.
So that is one thing you have to consider very carefully. And what I'm filtering, I don't have to filter my key. I have to filter my value. All you have to do, just before the value, call that function. And wrap it around the value. That's it. That will filter all of them. Don't forget this. Very important thing. So, because this is very important array I'm building. For those who are empty, they will have this error. If the item is not empty, for them, this will happen. So, of course, I know, apart from email, how many other fields we have? 3 fields, right? Now, for 2 fields, let's say for first name and password, I have provided value. Okay? For first name and password, I have provided value. Of course, we are not including email on this one, so ignore that. I'm not providing any value for last name at all. So I'm just providing value for 2, not providing value for 2 other. That case, this will, how many times this array will be pushed? Excluding email.
Once, yeah? Because
Once.
you provide the value.
That's right. For these, how many times?
Every time, no? I mean, like,
if
twice,
this happens,
yeah? Because you
this will not
twice
happen.
put the value.
Twice, yeah, that's correct. So for each value, you write value, there will be 2 items pushed into that user data in that situation, and 1 item as an error for my last name. Email we are not considering on this one. So it will only do either if and else. So as you can see, if I submit, of course it's looking for last name. The other 2 fields we have no problem. And to keep the value, we already have used post over global in the sign up page here. In this here, which you did yesterday with me, that you changed this. So we have done everything we could. This would definitely do its job. So if this happened, this will not happen. The push, either of them happen, right? True or false. So for 2 items, of course, I will have some proper data. For 2 items, I may not have anything rather than errors. Now, of course, I have this function preparing this variable for me to be sent to the database. But of course, as I said to you, they are private data. They are private. I should not expose them directly. I could have used the constructor function to return them back, But that's the no. I would not. I'm just overcomplicating my system. I'm just going to use constructor function for two reasons. One, grab the pose, produce the error, or produce the value. Now, of course, someone need to send the error back to this guy, don't they? You are building them fine. You are pushing them into error, very good. But who's going to send it over to this guy? Because this guy need to actually print them, don't they? He has to print them. Those errors. So by this, you are executing only the constructor function, which is responsible for two things now: to create the class to validate, to prepare those error or user data value. Now I need another function, public function, to bring it over here, to return back to it. This is why we have decided to create another public function. We decided to call it process underscore user. You can call it anything. This is where we intend to do all sorts of other things. So the first thing we want to do is simple. We want to check whether this one already has some errors, because we came through this process already. So it might have some error, and that's a that's an array. So I have to split that key and value, and I'm checking if key is not empty, or value is not empty. It's just I would say key, because that's what we are looking for. In fact, you don't even need this, but just return this. So return the error. Return the current error.
But hold on, if it isn't empty, there is no error, yeah? Because we're talking about the error being empty.
No, key.
Okay.
Key means keys. Remember, keys. Keys mean error first time, error last time. How many error did you say it will produce under given
one? Yeah.
One.
Right now,
and
yeah.
That would be last name, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Of course. So the array will have only one array called error last name, and this error at that moment.
Okay.
It will have only one. Not okay. We have to be sure about it.
No. I understand to this point. Yes. So we have one error, yeah, in this one.
So that's our error. Looks like this, guys. Maybe the last name, maybe error last name.
Okay. Yeah. Let's put that. Okay, and now for each of these errors,
yeah.
So now for each of these errors, which is one error, yeah, as key and value. So what is the key here now?
I don't know. You tell me.
In this one, yeah, it's...
How do I identify the key in an array? I have written down in front of you guys. Can anyone help? Which one will be the key on this array? Which one will
because
be the
we're
value?
talking now about the array which is called errors, yeah?
Error last name is the key.
Error last name is the key, and please enter the last name would be
That's
the
the
value,
value.
yeah?
Exactly.
Okay.
Even though I have only one particular error, one array, within this array, this is a global array, may have, I'm still looping it through.
Oh, okay, I understand. So now if it's not empty, which just means if we have this error, yeah?
If we have this not empty,
Yeah.
this points to key, doing a further check. That is not necessary if you don't want to. But look, this is called key, guys. This is called value.
I understand.
Value. Okay, so of course this one will loop it through. Whether there is one array or multiple, it doesn't matter. But then again, I'm doing a small check to check whether
Q is not empty, so we have
it is
error.
not empty, and if it is not empty, that means we want to print. If it was empty, what is the point printing it? If there is no message, or if it is not, or if this is not empty, it could be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Just to double check. You can actually check both of them. You can also do you can also do like this value.
Mm-hmm.
This is a precaution. So of course I don't want to print empty message, do I?
Mm-hmm.
So you could say you can do the value even better. If it is not empty, if the value is not empty, of course we know it's not gonna be empty at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the double check. This is what we do. If it has a message for me, it's a double check. Remember, after all of this check, I don't believe this will happen.
Mm-hmm.
It may still happen. The possibility slightly, even less than 1%, is during the transfer between client and server, anytime data could get lost without further explanation. Okay, server could stop working, process data, you did not get the value the customer type. So it's a good idea before you print them, you check it again. This is called exceptional, because we know, because we already have this error message. To check it, we are checking it here. Look, there's no chance that it will be empty. Am I correct? If it is come up to here, but then something happened. Maybe it's got lost. Maybe it got anything happened. We're just taking extra precaution that we're not going to print anything here, and we don't want to print anything empty here, do we? Because if you put something empty string, it's not going to be visible. Of course, let's say if I have some word, so it's going to print. If I don't have a word but a double empty string for some reason, whatsoever reason, of course your client will not see these. They'll wonder what happened. They'll keep clicking on it. The message will not be displayed. So to make sure that absolutely we do this bit. But if you really still don't think I don't get it, absolutely fine. You just gonna leave it like this. Just go over them, print it. But I will highly recommend that to happen. Make sure that you just check something is there. So that's why at extra precaution, I always do this, or try to do this as much as wherever is possible. Do a double check, do a level, do it. It could happen very exceptionally. It may not happen 99.9999. We are just making sure that we are double checking it. So the transfer between here, while this is happening, could be a dangerous thing, could be a broken thing, could be a mistyped thing. I could throw an empty error. When you throw an empty error, print an empty error, return an empty error, this message will not be displayed. However, maybe you see the red color here and they wonder what happened. It's not going to be proper communication with my client. So I want to double check the value has been there, which is you. So please enter your last name. And then if that is the case for each of them, I had only one. If I have 2, 3, 4 error, doesn't matter. It's going to return error. It's going to go through whole array. One by one, it's going to send error. So how many? If I have three messages, error messages, how many times this for loop will send me return error?
If you've got three errors, yeah. Well, sorry, what you asked? If you had three.
If I had 3 errors,
so
3 fields.
So it will return 3 times, yeah?
Exactly, simple as that. So this is going to send me this that 3 times. Alternative was, if I didn't have that, return errors. Don't do nothing. Don't check, don't none, just check. Check it straight away. And that will give me something back here. Remember what I'm checking it? Yeah. So you can collect it here, put into error, and then go through this. So let's see if this will work for us. Absolutely fine. So if let me just double check with you guys one. So I'm just gonna send it. I said, hey, if there is error, I didn't do any check, guys. I just sent it straight away. And it worked. So basically what I remove is this. I remove all for each loop for you.
And
have it. So I just wanted to show that either you can do the for each loop here or do the for each loop, do the for each loop here. Do one place, don't do two places.
Okay.
Either technique is send the entire array. Don't worry about this thing. Don't run a for each loop. Just send, this is the best policy. Send the entire errors to this guy. So when I call this function, it's going to return me a big error messages with all these error messages. And when it comes here, then I run a for each loop and the printf. So let's have a look how it look like first. If I print it without an array, okay? Let's do an echo. Just gonna quickly give you. We're gonna go for a break, okay? Just a little copy. But before I do this, I'm gonna quickly show you what happened. So I do a little bit of this, and then I'm going to print this guy here with the print R. Watch the difference. Print R and okay. So imagine what I did. I have now removed
the checks.
things from here, the checks from here. Further, I'm not doing any further check. I'm not doing it. I'm just saying if you call this function, it's going to return. But that's quite dangerous thing to do. Just return like this. Always do this. At least one check. Empty check. Okay. If this fella is not empty, then send it. Then send that. Makes sense, right? If the error variable that was created initially was empty, is it not? When you submit the form, something happened, so it may have a value. And this function is responsibility to send it back. But before you send it back, just do at least one emptiness check in case. And if this is a good, send it back straight to this guy. Yeah. So if I call this with my user object, if I call this public function, the job of this function is to return me the errors if there is any. Errors, plural. I'm expecting one or more than error. And I'm just going to print it. I'm going to print it here. I'm going to switch this off for now, just to show you. So let's do this. This is a mistake. Let's do some mistakes on that and see if we can get to see some of this error. Can you see? This is the entire error without for each loop. I have first name, last name, password, register, except the email, because we excluded the email, guys. Let's go ahead. So it's a massive array with 4 other array inside it. Am I correct? Does it make sense? Go ahead and try this file, okay? I'm just gonna send you these 2 files. Please do. Yeah, that's fine, Diana. I'm gonna give you these 2 files. Please go ahead and try this out. See if this is the case. First, if you understand this, and then we're gonna go and say why we are doing this. Okay? So let me give you these 2 classes. This is really good example and real life example that you'll be using for many cases. Not just reading a file. Where am I? PHP doc. PHP doc tutorials, level 3, new. We are on Oops PHP. Yeah, login register. There's one file I've sent you. There's another file I'm sending you. It is called sign up. Go ahead and try this if you can understand this. run this and try this. Go ahead and try this. So here we are not running for each loop. We are just grabbing the entire arrays if there is error, checking if it is not empty, returning back to the caller. And the caller is here. We created an object. So object has all the functions built in. I'm calling these functions, so I'm expecting some error from it. It's gonna give me the error. And I'm just gonna print R with the tree to see how many further this two-dimensional array contains. You'll see 4 of them, including the button. I will know about that. I stopped sharing so you can have some space on your screen to do other things. Go ahead and give it a go. See if it is. Then I'm going to explain the last bit, which is, of course, but we don't want to print like this. Print hard and this. We want to print it much nicer. We also want to print it through our variable that we declared. So we need to do a little bit of extraction to this. You must try this so it will be fun. You're going to take a little break for at 15 past, so around 10-15 minutes, and we're going to come back and continue this. Is that okay?
So we're coming back, what?
Around
11:30?
Yeah, 30, make it 30.
Okay, no problem.
We top up a little bit of my. I'll share my screen here in case anyone wants to do this. But I will highly recommend that at least, we're not going to deal with two big problems. Object oriented is very small scale, but then yet very complex, but very small scale. So not very complex, but very small scale. So we see the practical element of it rather than spending hours over it.
Okay.
See you in a bit, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Déjeme ver. Es que no, ¿qué contesta?
আসলে আমি কখনো সে ব্যাপারে তাকে দৃঢ় সংকল্পবদ্ধ পাইনি। আমি পরিস্থিতি যখন বলেছিলাম তোমরা আদমকে ছেড়ে দাও, তখন তারা আমি আদমকে বললাম, শয়তান হচ্ছে তোমার ও তোমার জীবন সাথী দুশ্মন। সুতরাং দেখো, এমন না হয় যে সে তোমাদের উভয়কেই জান্নাত থেকে বের করে দেবে এবং এর ফলে তুমি দারুণ দুঃখ কষ্ট করেছো। অথচ এখানে তুমি কখনো ক্ষুধার্ত হও না, কখনো পোশাক বিহীন হও না, তুমি কখনো এখানে পিপাসার্ত হও না, কখনো রোদের কষ্ট হও না। কিন্তু এত সাবধান করা সত্ত্বেও শয়তান তাকে কুমন্ত্রণা দিল। সে তাকে বলল, হে আদম, আমি কি তোমাকে অনন্ত জীবনদায়িনী একটি গাছের কথা বলবো, যার ফল খেলে তুমি এখানে চিরজীবন থাকতে পারবে, এবং বলবো এমন রাজত্বের কথা যা কখনো পতন হবে না। অতঃপর তারা উভয় ওই নিষিদ্ধ গাছের ফল খেলে। সাথে সাথে তাদের শরীরের লজ্জার স্থানসমূহ তাদের সামনে প্রকাশ হয়ে গেল, এবং তারা লজ্জায় তাড়াতাড়ি করে জান্নাতের বিভিন্ন গাছের পাতা দ্বারা নিজেদের লজ্জাস্থান ঢাকতে শুরু করল। এভাবেই আদম তার মালিকের নাফরমানি করল, এবং এ কারণে সে সাময়িকভাবে পথভ্রষ্ট হল। কিন্তু তার ক্ষমা প্রার্থনার পর তার মালিক তাকে তার বংশধরদের পথ প্রদর্শনের জন্য বাছাই করে তার উপর ক্ষমা পরামর্শ করেন এবং তাকে সঠিক পথ নির্দেশ করেন। শয়তান ও তোমরা এখন উভয় দলই এখান থেকে
একটাই
মনে রাখবে,
এটা পেইড করা, খালি পোস্ট অফিসে যায় দিয়ে দিবা।
জীবন পরিচালনার
প্যাকেটটা কিছু জানা লাগবে না, না ইয়েটা ঢুকাইয়া এটা উপরে রাখো, দিবা স্টিকার মারবা কষ্টের দিয়া। হ্যাঁ, ব্যাগ ট্যাগের কোনো কাম নাই এখানে, হাতে দিয়ে এবার পারলে পুরো পোস্টিংটা লয়ে আইও। হ্যাঁ, একটা প্রিন্ট করে দিব, স্ক্যান করে একটা প্রিন্ট করে দিব। আর যদি মনে করো বেশি কেউ, তাহলে তুমি জাস্ট এটা ওই হাতে দিয়ে আইবা।
আসলে দুনিয়াতেও
যেটা রাখলাম
আমার আয়াত সমূহ তোমার কাছে এসেছিল, কিন্তু তুমি তা ভুলে তোমাকে মূলত সে তার মালিকের আয়াতের উপর কখনো ঈমান আনে না। সত্যিকার অর্থে পরকালের আযাবই হচ্ছে বেশি কঠিন এবং অধিক স্থায়ী। এদের আগে আমি কত কত জনপদ আর এই ধ্বংসপ্রাপ্ত জনপদ সমূহের উপর দিয়ে এরা সারাই চলাচল করে। অবশ্যই এতে নিজের উপর মানুষকে যদি তোমার মালিকের পক্ষ থেকে
আদা দিয়া মশলা দিয়া
Saan ka pa ni sila lagi?